Hello, everyone, and welcome to the inaugural episode of our lovely podcast, also known as Unmedicated Disaster, which we both are. I'm Danielle,
My name's Al.
and we are here to talk to you about what's on our minds.
And the chaos around the world too.
Yeah, which is on our minds, so
Yes,
it's it's a work in progress.
sure is.
Um, and we just want to start out by introducing everybody to who we are. A little bit about ourselves, a little bit about each other, a little bit about how we met,
Yeah,
what to expect, what not to expect, and whatever happens to be on our mind this lovely day.
yeah. So
Um,
to get to know us a little bit better, my name's Al, as I said before. I'm not originally from here. I immigrated here when I was 7 years old, and I've lived in New Jersey ever since. But I'll keep you guessing to see where I'm from, because not everybody gets that right. Well, not born, raised in New Jersey, mostly North Jersey. Lived a little bit in Central Jersey until
Central
um,
Jersey doesn't exist.
if you or certain parts of New Jersey, Central Jersey doesn't exist. But there are people who argue that. Comment if you disagree with Danielle about Central Jersey.
I'll literally fight somebody. I'll
But yeah,
also fight you about pork roll. So,
went to like several, like at least three or four different middle schools. Went to two different high schools until I eventually went to college. 5 years of my life I'm never getting back. Um, I got a paper not hung on my wall, as a lot of you can probably relate to. Um, I'm debating whether I should burn it at one point because
we're
it is
not.
pretty
That
useless.
that's a very expensive piece of paper. You probably shouldn't burn it.
It's the most expensive thing in my life. After the college life, I mean, I've been working since I was, what, 10, 12, with family business beforehand. Before I eventually just got a job of my own, worked at odd jobs like clothing stores and boarding daycare facilities for dogs and cats. Eventually, once I graduated, I decided I'm gonna do something crazy, and I joined a job that had to do with stunts and performances and horse riding. It was a very exciting job. It was very dangerous.
It was amazing.
It was a different job, considering what most people would consider a normal job. There's nothing normal about that job.
Yeah,
Um,
not a lot of people are professional larpers
yeah, I
and
put
don't get made
I
fun
put
of for it.
larpers. People in that job put larpers to shame. But yeah, like everybody would go to work with a suitcase, some papers, probably. I went to work with armor on because I needed it if I didn't want to get injured. Um, but yeah, then after that, I took a big leap in my life. I moved to Georgia for a job opportunity that let me down tremendously. I lost everything in Georgia. And I moved back, and now I'm living in South Jersey, trying to just kind of rebuild my life from that one episode. It's like, what, 3 4 years later, I'm still trying to rebuild from that move to Georgia. It was crazy. But yeah, I got into the shelter business, animal shelter business. Worked there for what, 2 3 years. It was definitely eye opening. There's nothing that I've experienced quite like it. Um, and that's where I met Danielle.
So Al had a far more interesting early life than I did. I born and raised in New Jersey. I grew up on a cute little vacation island where I went to school for all of my elementary school days with my huge class of 17 people.
That's insane. Small amount.
Yeah, same kids the whole elementary school from first grade to eighth grade. Um, from there, I went moved on to high school, obviously in a different seaside vacation town. Where we did fun normal high school things like clamming. Going to the water park on the boardwalk. Normal things that people do in high school.
Is that why you're a roller coaster enthusiast? Is because you grew up literally next to one?
I mean, so here's the thing with that. That's going to be a conversation for later, but I'm a roller coaster enthusiast because my mother knowingly, while pregnant with me, still went on roller coasters.
She experienced roller coasters before anybody else.
Yeah. My mother's a little too proud of that fact that I've been going to theme parks longer than I've been alive, like actively participating. We're not talking like going to Disney and just like, oh, I was pregnant at Disney. No, she knowingly was riding roller coasters while pregnant. And
Is that a thing that you can't do?
yeah, you can't do that.
Oh,
I mean, think about it.
maybe we should edit that part then.
No, it's fine. What are they going to do? I lived, I guess, you know.
Oh, man.
But I digress. Then from high school, I did get accepted into my dream college, university, whatever. Didn't attend because I couldn't due to some little financial issues with my family, and most namely my father's personal financial issues with like Atlantic City. So
For anybody that's not in New Jersey, Atlantic City is very heavily populated with gambling machines and casinos.
most people, I think, do most people?
I don't know.
I feel like a
don't
lot of
think
people do.
if you're not from New Jersey, you probably don't know what Atlantic City is. Remember, when people think of New Jersey, they think of Elizabeth, and Elizabeth's a dirty whore.
You need to stop being so mean to Elizabeth.
I hate Elizabeth with a burning passion,
I mean,
and I live
she
closer to
stinks.
Elizabeth than you, so I've been around her longer than you have.
But she does smell, but
She
maybe
does
it's not
smell.
her fault.
It's not, but you know, we're not taking away from the fact that Elizabeth is a stanky girl.
Just for the record, to any Elizabeths that might listen, we're talking about the city.
Yes,
I'm sure you have impeccable hygiene, if
yes.
you're an Elizabeth.
I
listening.
actually knew Elizabeth. She was a very clean girl, as most women are. I don't think I've met a girl that wasn't clean. Anyways,
Yeah, we're gonna shelve
we'll
that.
unpack that somewhere else.
We're gonna shelve that one for now. So yeah, I did not end up going to college. I just kept on working to make sure that, you know, my mom and my little brother and I could afford to keep living. Like Al, I worked since I was 12. So although I did very much had that privileged white lady upper middle class childhood, I did, you know, did try to work, you know, to at least earn something for towards everything. It wasn't all just here you go. Shortly after I got rid of all my little side jobs, which I delivered pizza, I made cheesecake, I taught people how to ice skate and play ice hockey. By people, I mean toddlers, but it counts, you know.
I thought there was like a grown ass man in
There
there.
is there was a grown ass man. My actual physician was in my snowplow class. So it's pretty funny seeing all these little toddlers and then like a 6 foot tall 50-year-old man. He was probably the worst student out of them all because he was actually afraid to fall over, which is understandable. But after that whole situation, I moved into my first animal shelter, where I was for 13 years. Spent a very long time there. That was arguably a career. In my spare time, I, you know, worked with dog rescue because, you know, why not just dive in and become that person? And yeah, after 13 years, the PTSD really set in and took hold. So I was like, I need to get out of this situation.
That's like if you went into the water and you were neck deep, and while working in a shelter, you're like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna work with rescue too. It's like, might as well just submerge yourself. It doesn't matter at that point if the water's that high.
Yeah, it was a choice.
And I'm sure if you worked at a shelter, you know. But for those of you who've never worked at an animal shelter, 13 years is a lot to put into a shelter.
Yeah, it was a long time. And there's people that have done it longer, but as I know, we've talked personally before. The issues that caused me to leave were not working with the animals
No.
or the things you see or the clients or any of that.
The job itself is tolerable.
Yeah.
I mean, not a lot of people can do it. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah, there's hard days,
Yeah.
but you ultimately know you're doing something good.
Right.
Unfortunately, the people, and I don't mean the clients, I don't mean my immediate coworkers, but the people in charge, lots of shady stuff, lots of nepotism. I just don't think that if you are running an animal shelter, you should be buying houses for all your kids and having 7 cars. It just doesn't sit right. And the well over 6 figure salary was a bit much when I was literally on Medicaid and food stamps. It was a lot. So off I went to this wonderful desk job. And it was in a creative outlet and great people, great job. I just got to kind of take a breather for once. And then 2020 happened.
It's the year we all wish we could erase from our memories.
I mean, I gotta say, like the place where I was working had to close down, like so many others, because it wasn't a essential business.
Yeah.
I did truly enjoy that summer. I was gardening, I was cooking, I was relaxed. Like it was fantastic. Like this is what it was like to be a hobbit. I feel like you're just making your food, gardening, taking care of your plants, existing. There you go. Unfortunately, do have to go back to reality. And that fall, there was this cute little job opening at a different shelter. And I'm like, well, I can do this. So I applied, got a phone call, and was told, hey, you're overqualified.
You want to be the boss?
She was overqualified, and she definitely was able to handle that boss position.
Yeah, and that's where I met this lovely gentleman who wasn't at all what I expected when I was told.
Nope.
Yeah, wait till you meet Al. Al's great. Al's going to be so helpful. He's going to be your best technician.
And then she got me. And I was like, all right, you said you know what you're doing. Hop to it. I didn't say hop to it. I said, if you need anything, just let me know.
Al was not what I expected, but definitely more than I expected too.
What do you mean?
Well, I don't know.
That wasn't what I expected, but
like I'm not going to share it here, but like my original, like, oh,
that's racist.
It wasn't a racist thing. It's like
she was expecting a white boy.
Listen, ladies, my gay
And
friends,
I'm not
my
a white boy.
non-binary pals.
I'm not a white boy.
Picture walking into an animal shelter, and like you have in your mind, like I know what I look like. I know the people I've worked with in shelters. You walk in, and Daveed Diggs's cousin is holding a dog on a table. You're gonna go, oh, okay.
Daveed Diggs' ugly cousin.
False.
I could be a stunt person for
You
Daveed
could
Diggs.
be his stunt double.
They just need to make sure that they
Daveed,
don't show my face.
call us.
They're like, okay, this is a back shot, so Al, you're good.
No, not that kind of. We're not doing back shots. What the hell are you? What are we doing?
Filming from the behind, so they don't see the face. That's usually how that works.
We have 2 different definitions of back shots.
There's 3 if you think really hard about it. But
No, I'm pretty sure the third one is the one where I'm thinking.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
but yeah, crazy.
I'm not opposed. But...
Crazy small world that we live in. But yeah, no. And believe it or not, me and Danielle actually met beforehand. We just didn't know who we were. She did show up in one of my jobs before, the job where you perform and do stunts. But yeah, she was there a long time and I was working there. I was like, oh, okay, that's really weird. We only know because of what one of my coworkers did.
I'm proud to be an urban legend at that place.
And I remember because they were very happy about what they did. And I was like, you guys are all going to hell.
I feel like for you, that had to have been one of those moments when that story came out, when it's like, wow, I can't believe that was you, but also I can absolutely believe it was you.
Yeah, it was like, wow, really? And I was like, of course.
It checks out. It's par for the course.
Yeah.
So and that's we ended up there. Fixed all their troubles. Al became a manager in a different department, so we were directly working with each other all the time.
Yeah.
And then somebody got their panties in a twist and made our lives hell. So we left.
Pretty much.
We left.
Oh yeah.
He left ended up being 3 days before me.
It was around this time that we were actually like thinking about, oh, we should do something for the staff,
Yeah, at this point last year, we were there. We were we were in full swing. Everything was going great.
Yeah, the 3 years that I've been there, they were like, congratulations, staff, you did it, and
Yeah.
everybody's like, sure. But we actually went above and beyond to like let them know that this place is worth it, the animals are worth it, and higher management is thinking about you,
Yeah.
even though higher management never showed up except for one,
Yes.
except
And
for
we
one,
love her.
and she participated too, and it was great. It was
Uh,
awesome.
well, I think that that was definitely a mindset and a culture difference between us and the people in who had like the fancy offices.
Yeah.
Um, we we understood that working in a for any nonprofit, but in the animal shelter, that your pay is not great. It's just the nature of the
Nope.
beast. But what could we as managers, supervisors, do to maybe make our staff feel a little bit more appreciated, make them feel heard, just let them have moments where they could enjoy their jobs. Little things like there was a snow day, and it's, some of these people are young or maybe don't have cars, but they still managed to get in.
Yeah.
So, apologies to the delivery driver, but it was a snow day, so I ordered up, hot chocolate and and donuts for everybody just as a thank you gift. Or if we had to have a meeting, we would make sure that everybody got lunch.
Yeah.
What was it, Easter? For Easter, we did a big Easter egg hunt for the whole staff with
Yeah.
candy and things
Candy.
and
But the best part was the gift cards
yeah,
in
we
those
had
eggs.
gift cards in there. We had like a big basket. What did we put in there? Like $50?
Yeah.
Yeah, $50 cash with a big Easter basket.
And
if we
mind
found
you,
a
upper
special thing.
management didn't help with that.
Yeah, this was out of our own pockets.
Yeah.
And we did not make a lot of money, but
It was still worth showing them.
yeah.
And
they were grateful, and
Yeah.
they were excited. They were like, nobody's ever done anything like this for us. But it, like Al kind of touched on, it was very disappointing that we asked for the other managers, for the director, for all these important people, could you at least show up, at least show your face, take the credit if you have to, like, just be there, show
Right.
your staff. And only one showed up.
And she was a manager just like us.
Yeah, she was like our level manager.
Yeah.
But she came and wanted to be there as part of the staff.
Yeah.
Everybody else felt they were too good for it, and that it was, unimportant to do something with the staff, just
Yeah.
to have fun.
Yeah.
And I think we'll probably have a whole conversation about why people who have worked these jobs, who have come up and had to kind of actually work their way through
Yeah.
difficult times, are much more generous with
Yeah.
their
And I also want to put out there, because I know other people are still working or have worked at an animal shelter. Was that your issue as well too? Because I'm pretty sure for a lot of shelters, the part of the shelter, the work, the animals, the cruelty that you see on a day-to-day basis, I know that's manageable to people who can, but is it the same around in other shelters where it's just upper management just trinkles negativity down to everybody else, and that's the blockade when it comes to an animal shelter that you can't get past because of upper management? Because most of the time upper management is not getting physical with these dogs. They don't even put their hands on the dogs. They kind of like, oh, they see it on the computer, they talk about it, they may walk around and give it a treat or something, but they don't know these animals the way management and the employees do, because they see these animals, they interact with these animals day to day.
Well, it's like, look at the person we had an issue with. They had never once in their life cleaned a cage.
No.
Never cleaned a cage. They didn't.
Allegedly, she did.
What, once? Like literally one time?
Yeah, once I saw she cleaned cages.
A cage one time.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Have never cleaned more than one cage one time. So they can't. It's almost like they feel like they're above that. And I know where we come from is, I will never ask somebody to do something in a job that I would not do myself.
Which is funny, because there was a meeting one time where they were talking about nobody is above anything to do a certain job, but they didn't follow these rules. It was more like, do as I say, not as I do,
and
kind of situation.
That's where we started to have a very big culture shift.
Yes.
And I'm not to say that everybody in a high ranking position at these facilities is that way. I know there are people who have, I know personally there are people who have given their lives and their livelihoods to the animals, be it in a shelter or a rescue. Um, but there unfortunately are people who they get in doing an office task, be it fundraising or letter writing, whatever it is, and they don't have the experience of what it's like to actually be in the trench. Um, and I feel like shelters aren't well served for that. And in my experience, we experienced it together. Speaking with people from other shelters, unfortunately, it does seem to be an issue. To be fair, I'm going to say the person who was in charge of my first animal shelter, tons of issues, but when things really got serious, things hit the fan, they were out there scooping kennels, plowing the snow, evacuating animals, whatever needed to be done, they would jump in and do. So I do give full credit there because it is somebody who did work their way through the shelter.
Right.
Things still went very sideways because I think other influences started to get involved. But so I'm not saying no, not that everybody didn't put in the work. Some
Right.
did,
Right.
but I feel like once you start getting those titles, people sometimes will
Yeah.
lose their way.
And maybe it was because I was fresh into the management position, but it wasn't the only time I've been put in charge. I've had other jobs where they either wanted me to be a supervisor or they wanted me to be the manager. There was one place that I refused to be a manager in only because I was seeing things going wrong very quickly, and I didn't want to commit to it. Uh, Unfortunately, I did for the last job that I was in. But like even though they were just like,
Sorry.
even though they were just like, hey, you're a manager now, it still took time for me to understand that because for me, the job still had to be done, and if there was somebody that wasn't doing a job, I would jump right in and be like, this needs to be get done now, you know. I never put my employees in any sense of danger, if I spoke to them, because let's be honest, working at an animal shelter, there are dogs that are afraid or have probably been tortured before, and they're not very friendly to new faces. Um, but an animal can't just sit there forever, and we have to slowly work with the animal to get it into a very trusting position. But I remember when I worked there, I made sure that my staff would not get in harm's way. If they felt just the slightest bit like, hey, I don't know, this animal's making me very uncomfortable, let me handle it. I'll get in there. And it wasn't to no disrespect to them, because in the animal shelter world, believe it or not, it's um, majority women held.
I feel like there's a very high percentage of women
Yeah.
in that
Exactly.
role.
So for me, it was different because besides another man, we were the only two there. It was very much so women dominated, but it wasn't the fact that I didn't think they could do it. If they felt comfortable doing it, I absolutely trusted them because I knew they could do it. They've handled it and they've shown me before. But if they did not feel comfortable, I would never force them, not put them in any position. Which the the person we were talking about did that once, twice, I believe.
They did that many times.
Yeah.
But I think that that's something that I think we both feel very strongly about, where people in leadership positions or people in management, when things get tough, it ultimately comes down to us. And I would not want somebody who is one of my employees who should not have to deal with certain difficult issues or compromising issues to have to do that. That is my job.
Yeah.
And I will not put somebody in that position. Other people don't feel that way. They say things like, suck it up, deal with it. And I'm not that person. Yes, you have to go out and do your job. Yes, there are days it is hard.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the ugly stuff should not fall on those people. And I feel like that's something I always try to think about, is the difference between like being the boss and being the leader. A lot of people want to be the boss. The people in the fancy offices want to be the boss. They'll tell you what to do, how to do it, when they want it done, how they want it done. Meanwhile, the leader is out there going, saying, okay, guys, this is what we need to do. We're all going to do this together.
Yeah.
and we don't mesh well with bosses. It
We don't.
seems.
We don't. Because I mean, I'm a people pleaser. I try and be like, hey, you want this done? Got it. Let me go do this. But it only goes up to a certain point, and after that, you're overstepping. And I'm not as young as I used to be. I'm starting to realize that more and
Neither
more
of
when
us
people
are.
are overstepping, and I like to push back now. Before I just be like, whatever. But now I'm like, oh really? No,
And then I came along to be the horrible influence with that. But
I wouldn't say horrible influence.
but so that's where we ended up meeting,
Yeah,
and um, ended up leaving. You left a few days before me.
yeah,
I didn't intend to leave, but I left when actual animal health and safety was compromised. Not due to the veterinarians on staff, but due to staff members that were overstepping
yeah.
and thought they knew better. And that was the first time in my life I just walked out of a job and did not think about it.
And I
Um,
mean, credit to veterinarians out there who work at shelters because I know they're not getting paid remotely close to what they should be
it
getting paid,
is,
and they put
yeah,
their lives in danger. Believe it or not,
yeah.
the one veterinarian we had working with us, she there was multiple times where she put her life in danger. But I think over the year of getting to know me, she kind of even before I became a manager, which was actually really funny. Whenever she felt like, oh, this is going in a bad way,
Go
she
get
would call
Al.
out for me. And it was like, Al, not the manager. She would call me and I would
Yeah,
go in there and handle it. Um, and not all the times that I handle it would I say like, oh yeah, I did it professionally, but
you did what you had to
none of the
do.
times that I ever get bit, and the animal didn't need to be harmed, and we were able to de-escalate a situation where the vet didn't get her foot bit off.
That's a story for another time.
Yeah,
But I hope she's just living her best life and
I
doing
hope so because I
incredibly
think
well.
she's still there, but
Yeah. Well,
it's her
that's her
calling.
life's
She wanted
work.
to do that,
Yeah, and it's a shame, but
and there's not a lot of vets out there
no,
like her.
that would devote that much time and energy
Yeah.
to that line of thing.
So if you're one of those, good on you.
But please remember, shelters have limited resources, so you need to adapt your medicine to the resources you have available, and do not shame the shelters for not having a lot of money. Thank you. Not
Yeah,
that
man.
I've ever run into that.
If there's anything you're going to learn from this episode and this podcast today, I would say definitely go to your local dog shelter and help them because,
And cats,
oh, yeah,
rabbits, horses,
yeah, any
whatever.
single, anything that has animals that are in need that don't have a home, definitely go to your shelter and see how you can help, whether it's donating food, I'm sure most shelters have a list of things that they need.
And
And if you can help,
that's very important. Check the list of what they need,
yeah,
because sometimes people like to donate things, that they think are helpful, but
and are actually
that
harmful
that
for,
are either harmful for the animals or they're not able to use.
right,
So always please check in with the shelter or the rescue,
yeah,
that you want to help, because everything is greatly appreciated. But if you want to commit money or resources to a shelter or a rescue, please make sure it's something they can use. You don't
yeah.
want to waste your personal resources, or cause any issue with the shelter itself. And call around because different places need different things.
Yeah,
So
even volunteer. Even like if you don't want to own a dog, but you still want to walk a dog, that's what a
yeah.
shelter's for. I can't promise you that you won't fall in love with a dog, and end up adopting it because that has happened. But it's still very kind nature. Even if you can't donate money, because I know even right now, due to current events, money is tight. But if you have time, that's also a valuable thing to volunteer and offer.
Yeah, because nothing from our experiences, neither of us have any issue with shelters at large.
No,
The people who are there taking care of the animals and the things that they do day to day for those animals, um, those people deserve nothing but respect and our thanks. Be it at a fancy shelter with millions of dollars, or a small shelter maybe in the South where they're completely overrun and just doing their best. Um, and mentioning that, it's very easy, to see advertisements or pictures on social media or videos from these very fancy, very well-to-do facilities, but I think Al would agree. I definitely encourage you to look for the ones that don't have that. Look for the ones that maybe the kennels aren't as big, or the blankets aren't as nice, or the food isn't as good, or the facilities themselves just maybe need repairs, because those places need your 5, 10, $50 donations far more than a multi-million dollar, you know, well-funded facility. And it's very easy for people to look at those places and be sad and be like, oh no, look at it's dirty, or oh, they're in a dirt pen, or oh, it's just has a tarp for a roof. Well, that's because they don't have the resources.
Yes.
And I can assure you that the people working in those places, if they had the resources, would be building those dogs a palace, or those cats, a fantasy tree house.
Right.
But they don't have it. So try to look past the bright, shiny pictures and look to those places that desperately need the attention, that need the money. The good thing about being in the situation we were at this most recent shelter is that we found each other. Yay!
Yeah, that was one thing that came
was
out of it.
Was it a good thing for you?
It's true.
Was it okay?
Huh?
Was it good for you?
I mean, you went in there and you literally helped the entire business out.
I mean, that's nice. I meant like you personally.
I would have left earlier. If the second if you walked in and you turned out to be like the same as last manager, I would have 100% walked out. I would have been like, I'm not doing this, because the manager before you was not okay. It was night and day. You helped, and the vets knew you were helping. And the vets even took your opinion. They were like, hey, what do you think about this? Because they don't ask the opinion for anybody. Trust me.
Because I'm like, if anybody knows anything about nursing, how there's always like that one like grizzled nurse on the floor who just, the new doctors are just try to give her crap. And she's like, son, don't.
Son, just don't.
That's pretty much me as a veterinary technician.
But yeah.
Just that old, tired, grumpy one.
Oh, Lord.
But
yeah, I mean, this is what this podcast is going to be about. We're going to be talking about things that some people can relate, and some people maybe can't relate, and they learn something new. We're just going to be here. We're going to vibe. We're going to talk about social things. We're going to talk about Beta Ray. We're going to dedicate an entire episode. No, I'm kidding.
we're going to spend an entire episode just letting Bill take over.
But yeah,
say what he has to say.
We're a bunch of geeks. At the end of the day, we're going to be ranting about X amount of, Marvel movies, or how DC movies suck.
I'm going to make you talk about sports.
We're going to talk about sports.
Al doesn't know anything about sports.
That's for sure. Yeah.
We went to a hockey game and he said, what are they doing with the ball? And I went,
I did that on purpose, but
yeah.
Oh no, I did it on purpose. Because I could have called their hockey stick a bat as well. I didn't, because I knew you were starting to regret bringing me over.
I did not regret it for 1 second.
Yeah.
I was very pleased that you attended with me.
Yeah.
So.
But I mean, crazy enough, I worked for one of the stadiums. I worked for.
Oh, those are stories that you need to say over another time, because he's got good stories.
I mean, it's what happens when you live a life crazy and unmedicated. You just kind of end up in places you probably shouldn't be in, and you're like, okay, this is interesting, let's go.
It's because you stop thinking like, should I do this? And you're just like, yes. Because you're just like, for me at least, it's like you're constantly chasing the serotonin.
Yeah, it's
so
crazy.
Like, oh, this sounds like fun, let's do it right now without a second thought.
And for our listeners that are not from the United States, the United States has a shitty health system. And this is what brought us here. This is why we're making this podcast. Had the United States kept their, shit together, we probably wouldn't be doing this podcast.
Did they ever actually have their stuff
Maybe
together?
At one point.
Did they, though?
At one point, I'm sure they did.
Like, are we talking like 1776 had their together? Because I don't feel like they even had it together then.
I wasn't alive at that point, so I can't speak for them.
Yeah, I mean, I've been alive longer than you, and I can be pretty sure they didn't really have their stuff together at any point.
So, yeah.
We have all sorts of interesting things to talk about. It's like Al said, it's going to run the gauntlet. We've got nerd stuff. We've got current events. We've got movies.
Speaking of nerd stuff, though,
Oh.
I looked up. There is a difference between a
the
geek
geek
and
a
nerd.
nerd. Yeah.
Yeah. This is geek. Nerd is more so, and correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I remember reading, nerd is more you're very knowledgeable about a specific subject. So like, if we spoke to
This is clearly a Porque no los dos situation.
and you can't be both. Absolutely. I'm not a nerd. I don't have anything besides Pixar movies that I would
yeah,
go
there
into
you
a
go.
passionate discussion with. And so if anybody wants a passionate discussion about Pixar movies, come to me. I will talk your ear off, and we'll probably fight somewhere in the middle, but
Yeah, I mean,
it's okay to throw hands.
I probably won't fight you about Pixar movies, but men on the internet definitely will.
Let's go.
Don't unleash Al's feminist side. It'll get ugly.
Yeah.
And that's just I feel like we should touch on that too.
On what?
'Cause-
Me
well, just
throwing
in
my
general,
hands up?
because you have Al, who is this gorgeous specimen of a human. No,
Lies.
aside from that, an immigrant, a man of color. I don't want to say what because I know it's this big secret.
A man of color.
A man of color, a
Lord.
non-white person.
Oh Lord.
Traditionally attractive. He's straight, unless that's changed in the last couple days.
Couple days?
Yeah, no, he's still straight. Okay, we have that. He's bilingual.
Yes.
All this situation. Then you have me, who is not entirely straight. Take that as you like it. I'm really attracted to cookware.
She's just not straight.
I just really like pots and pans.
Is that a?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Never heard it before.
You never heard of pansexual?
Huh?
Pansexual.
What the hell does that have to do with pots and pans?
It's literally called pansexual.
Oh.
It's a joke.
Okay.
Like, I'm here for the pandemonium. I enjoy eating pancakes.
I get it. I get it
You
now.
get it now?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I am a woman.
Okay.
I am not a small woman. I am also the white lady. So you have this situation where,
Am I the token?
well, it's like you're the token brown guy.
I'm the token person of color.
I'm the token queer. So we have this situation where it's like, I don't want to speak over Al as a white person and a person of color. He's not going to want to speak
Over you because I'm a man.
because you're a man and you're a straight man. So it's an interesting dichotomy we have going on.
Yeah.
And we will do our best to not speak over each other.
Yeah.
But at the same time, for us, we do have a report where we can talk about things and not have to be as careful with each other.
Right.
But
We are going to have conversations where we're probably not going to share the same opinion, but those are going to be the better ones,
Yeah.
better episodes.
But at the end of the day, we love each other
Yes.
very much. So
Nothing but respect.
yeah. So and like you said, there's things we disagree on, but we don't want anybody listening to be like, why is this man speaking for her? Or why is the white lady trying to talk over the person of color? It's because chances are, if we're having the conversation here, we've had it.
Yeah.
And we both know that we're coming from places with good intentions and not actively trying to do harm to each other.
There's a lot that people can relate to. And don't get me wrong, I am not by any means your stereotypical straight man, because I've been told that a lot of times.
Because, and I know we didn't touch on it in Al's work history, but Al is an artist by trade.
Yeah, I do freelance.
But he's an artist, which, it's not, I don't want to say it's not that it's not masculine, but it's, what's the word I'm looking for?
It pays the bills.
It pays the bills, but that's, you're not like, oh, I do like manly man things and I have to do the man stuff. You're perfectly fine, like, making a sandwich in your own kitchen or doing something that's maybe not considered typically masculine.
Yeah, like if I'm in a relationship, I'm the cook, and you're gonna have to fight me out of the kitchen.
You're
It's just how things are gonna be.
he's the cook to a fault sometimes.
I'm a cook. I bake. I will
Yeah, the baking, that's
wrestle down a horse if I have to.
ladies.
What?
Oh, you said horse.
Yes.
Oh, I thought you said horse.
Okay. Yeah, no, I meant the animal.
I said what I said.
I can fix my car. I mean, I'm no like, you know,
Yeah, you seem like, and when we say like Al's feminist side, it's, I feel like if you had to describe it, it's very much a, just because a lady should know how to do whatever,
Yeah.
but doesn't mean they should have to.
yeah. I just don't fit the stereotypical type when it comes to a straight man, and
Yeah.
it is what it is.
You don't have a lot of problematic straight man opinions.
No.
We're gonna shelve that conversation because
We have a lot of stuff that I'm sure
we have feelings about things.
I'm sure a lot of people can relate to, and we are always excited to see people's comments and see what they relate to, or if they have their own story of their own, because it's life is a fun ride.
Yeah.
You're gonna laugh, you're gonna cry, you're gonna, wish you've never been born, but it's a fun ride so far.
But and I think one of my favorite things about you is the fact that you don't know anything about sports.
I do not.
I love that, because if you are female and if you are a sports fan, which I very much am, ice hockey is my sport of choice, closely followed by automobile racing. If you are a sports fan and you are a lady, especially if you interact at all on the internet with other sports fans, sometimes men, and that's really all I need to say, because you know what it's like.
Sometimes men.
Like, there are people.
That's a complete sentence right there. Sometimes men.
It is. There are people and things in the sports world that I have forgotten more about these things than some people have ever known. Yet there will be a man with his unwashed ass who will feel the need to educate me on something. And if they can't educate me, then they say other things. And there's a great YouTube video which I will recommend. It's called More Than Mean. Look it up if you don't know what I'm talking about, men, and see what that's about.
So there's a rumor, and I know you sort of touched, you
No.
brought it up. This is all your fault. But apparently there's a thing going around when men don't wash your ass because they think it's gay. Wash your goddamn ass. Holy shit. I've never been disgusted in my entire life as knowing that men won't fucking slap some soap in between their cheeks. Jesus, that drives me.
Yeah, I was a little appalled. Like, I like to read.
God.
I don't go on Reddit, but I follow a lot of accounts on Instagram and such that repost things, and the number of stories about men who won't wash their own ass because it's gay.
Oh my God.
What is wrong with you? Are men okay?
I
Yeah.
don't know what to say to that. It's just
we're gonna have to have a whole conversation about
I don't get
things that men get told are gay by other men.
They
we could do that for hours.
They slap each other on the ass, but they can't touch your
it's
own
okay,
ass.
because they're in uniform.
No, most of the times they're not.
Yeah. Oh, I thought we were talking about the sports thing, but let me tell you.
Oh my God.
That'll be a whole conversation that will happen.
Jesus.
Probably one of our favorite topics is men being dumb on the internet.
This is why we have trust issues.
I mean, I don't trust men.
And
please, not all men.
No,
it's not all men. I've got this one.
No,
definitely not all of them.
When we say in general
but
topics,
most of y'all.
No, but when we say in general topics, we don't mean all men, all women, all of everything.
There's only one thing where we mean all, and we're not going to get into that yet.
No, that's for a special episode that we're gonna have. But yeah, so that's our episode for today. If you actually enjoyed this disaster, I mean, you're more than welcome to come back, listen, ring that bell, watch us, follow us, whatever social media tends to.
Al's job is to
ask
beg for followers.
Huh?
That's Al's job.
Yeah, I beg for followers.
There's no shame in your follower game.
No, right? Yeah.
I guess not. That's fine. Gotta do something somewhere.
Until the next episode. Bye.
Bye.